Hey everybody, I'm just doing a little bit of an update. I think I called this video Magical Acquisitions, but really I wanted to show just a couple things that I'd picked up and just talk a little bit about purchasing Oldhammer just shortly, briefly. One of the things that I've got here in front of you is just the purchase that I got locally on a Facebook group that sells miniatures just primarily in the city that I live. This one actually, I believe I actually saw this on Facebook Marketplace, but there's also a group closely associated with it that lists miniatures, really good deals at times. As you can see, these are two metal minotaurs. They're actually of the variety that my minotaurs have, that I have, like for my army, and so they're kind of like a 6th edition style metal miniature. And then these are two Centaurs. And typically speaking, I haven't painted any Centaurs. They're one of the units that I've never painted yet, that I have a pretty good sized troop. I am going to do that at one point. But typically these miniatures will go for about 40 Canadian. So I don't know, if you do the math on that, you're looking at roughly $30, $32, I think, US on the used market. That's not including shipping, of course, but even if you get locally, like I've seen the odd one where people are just selling one of them and it's usually like $40. This gentleman had them up for $25 for all four. So that is truly a steal, because really, to buy these individually, you're probably looking at somewhere in the area of $120. And depending on the kind of deal you get, and you always get better deals the more you buy it once, usually. Hopefully they do it that way. And so I just thought I'd show just how cool of a deal it was. Now, one of the things that was really funny I noticed is that they put this on a piece of Lego. Somebody really wanted this. It's a green piece of Lego. Somebody really wanted to get this guy into action, and so I am going to have to do some work on these. I mean, like, even this base is kind of beat up. It's definitely, they've seen some use, so I will be dipping these and repainting them. They did do this one kind of a nice, beautiful green, but one of the things that I've had people at times ask me, like, how do you get these miniatures, or like how can you collect this army, like what do you do? And like, for me, the golden rule is, if you can buy it locally, that's your best bet. Like, if it's somebody local, that is your best bet. You might get somebody there are a lot of people that are just really generous, and they are just trying to get rid of something here or there, and they're selling it to you for less than what they paid for it, maybe at the 50% mark of what they paid for it. And you can get a really good deal that way. And then the biggest thing is you're not paying for shipping. As someone that has totally gotten caught into the purchasing of collecting of Oldhammer, you might as well call it shipping hammer, because in all honesty, shipping is going to kill you. Like, if you think that it's expensive to buy these miniatures that are collectible items, in many cases you're buying them for what people originally paid for them. In many cases it's not too much more than what they were, if you actually take out inflation. Of course, if you take out the value, if you put in the value of $1, it changes everything. But if you just think about, like, what cost $50 10 years ago is $50 now, if you just keep it that simple, then it's really not that much of a difference. But shipping, when you try to collect an army and you do, let's say, 12 to 15 orders over a couple of years, and then you add up the shipping, that changes everything. I mean, you're going to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on shipping. And so, big thing is getting someone that isn't in the business of selling old miniatures, that they're just basically local and wanting to just get these off their hands. Second thing is, you're not paying for shipping. That is the absolute way to do it. When you can't, then yes, you go out and you get things on Facebook and eBay and things like that too. Another really good way of getting miniatures you really like that are older is, if you have a collection, is trading. And at a certain point, you have more than what you need if you start collecting these things. And in many respects, what you have to offer and having an arsenal of old miniatures is more valuable than money to collectors. And so that's another great thing. And I've even gotten to the point where I have almost even picked up things locally as trade fodder. And if anybody's into collecting, like, I'm not sure that I'm the only one that would do that. Just thought on this subject, I actually had showed on the Musty Wargamers Facebook page how I converted up this. This is normally sacrilege for me. Like, I've not really done anything that's permanent. Like, I can get all this green stuff off if I want. But this is an old Daemon Prince, and I really wanted him to fit with a Nurgle-themed army. And he's so not Nurgle looking typically. Like, he looks very Cornish, That almost sounds like something non-Warhammer. It's like a type of dish, but like a Cornish hen. And anyway, this what I did is I wanted him to look Nurgle, and so I went in and I gave him some insect eyes, which I thought was a great way. I was initially going to put like a big eye in the center of his head and just like put green stuff in his normal eye slots and make him like into like a Cyclops looking thing. But I thought about it and I kind of looked at some pictures for inspiration. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to give him bug eyes. And then I gave him the one kind of horn that you often see on the one side for Nurgle. I gave him a little bit of a rotting gut, some pustules in some different spots. I did actually put an eyeball on the back of his wing. But yeah, this actually was a situation where I did, I got this off of somebody locally with a number of other things. I was going to show them at one point. I did get some Plague Bearers. I got some Harpies, all metal, and some Nurglings off of a gentleman with this guy. And I got a pretty good deal. So one, took out the shipping right off the bat. And then he was somebody that knew what he had. He wasn't... I don't try to pull the wool over people's eyes, but it doesn't bother me if somebody gives me a good deal. It's not... I don't, rush in there you realize you could get another $50 for this on eBay? No, I don't do that. If they're just looking to kind of take stuff off their hands, and I don't mind a good deal. But... he knew what he had. He actually, it was a bit of a competitive price, but it was still a good deal. And so, yeah, so that's that. The other thing I was just going to mention, this is stepping away from miniatures for a second. I did actually get, I call this magical acquisitions or something like that because, this was just such an awesome deal. But I also was able to get myself a copy of Ravening Hordes for the Old World. And it's actually in good shape because at my local gaming store did order me one, the one I typically go to, and it was all torn up. It was ripped in here. You could see the brown cardboard. All of the corners were messed up. This is in relatively good condition, nothing ultimately bad. The reason I got this is a gaming store opened up in my city just within the last 4 months, and hardly anybody knows about it that I talked to. They're actually called Under the Mountain Gaming in Calgary, but they're in a little mall in my city. And I just was sitting on my couch and thinking about it. And, I've not been able to get this book. As many of you may be aware, this stuff's in short supply. I was like, I know that they carry GW. I should just call them up. And reality is, because a lot of people don't know that they're there, and because Old World is still kind of a niche thing, within the GW stuff, I called up, and the person that I was speaking with didn't really know what they had, on the shelf. And so they went over and looked, and I wasn't at all optimistic. And I literally told them, if you have them, they're the blue books. I kind of guided them a bit. And then they're like, oh, no, we have a lot of white dwarfs, they said. And then, oh, no, we do have something here. And then they started to list off some of the stuff that I didn't want. I think they were the Tomb King, the Bretonnian specific books, to go with those armies. But then they're like, and we have Ravening Hordes. And I'm just dead silent on the phone because I've really been wanting this, for all the stuff I'm trying to do for Old World. And then I'm like, can you please look at the binding and can, is it torn up? I said, a lot of the stuff that came and delivered from GW is just really torn up. And she's like, no, I think it looks pretty good. But then she actually because I was on my cell phone, I didn't even ask, and she texted me pictures, and I was like, I'm coming right down, because it was in perfect shape. So I got myself a copy of the Warhammer, the Old World, and the reason I got this was because I went to a local gaming store that a lot of people didn't as much know about, and that's why they had it. And even though there are probably people out there that wanted it just like me that couldn't get it because they're not trying them, they didn't get it. And so what I'm going to do, even though many people know on the channel that I go to the Sentry Box, because I've talked about it on Musty Wargamers and things, which is like the largest gaming store in Canada, miniature gaming and gaming, like they have everything. Could be the world, but they don't claim that. They just said nobody's ever said they're bigger, but they're huge place. And I am going to buy my Old World stuff from this small store that's open, and I think, and mainly because I think they really need it, the business, and they were really, the service was really good that they provided me, you know, in getting this book, and even without asking, sending me pictures and just being really accommodating. And they're a new business opening up and trying to make it. So yeah, so that's where I'm gonna, when Orcs and Goblins release comes out, I'm gonna order all of that stuff that I'm gonna get in addition to what I have already through them. So a really, really magical acquisition in addition to this one, all in the same week. Hope you guys are having a good one, and talk to you later.